Better than a porpoise.
It's found a special purpose.
Hard to care for. There's a lot of permits. Call me to order. Starting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Number 2, silence your cell phones. If anyone would like to call into this meeting, live streaming on YouTube, the number is 712-224-6014. Incidentally, the same number we've used since we started. Item number 1, citizen concerns. Any citizens to concern this board? Hearing none. Item number 2 is approval of the agenda. I'll move it.
Second.
Second by Radig. Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 6 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3 is approval of minutes of the September 15th meeting. Item 4 is approval of the claims. Item 5 from Board Administration is approval of a resolution for a tax abatement for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Sioux City Incorporated. Item 6 from Human Resources is the approval of the Memorandum of Personnel Transactions. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Radig. Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 7 from Secondary Roads, County Engineer Mark Nera, includes A for action. This is approval of resolution establishing weight limits on the listed county bridges.
Mark Nera, Woodbury County Engineer. Our county bridge inspections for 2020 have been completed for the year, and a number of new recommendations were given to us in regard to postings, including 2 closures. One of those closures on Michigan Avenue. That's a bridge we know has been one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel for a number of years. It's very low volume gravel road that we'll be looking at some hopefully economical replacement options here in the next 6 months to a year. We were hoping to go a little longer, but the substructure has hit that point now. The other one, 0266, is on Lee Avenue, south of, I think it's south of D38. And this is one bridge that we had proposed be a part of the special bridge project levy that we did a number of years ago. We had a couple of property owners who attended one of the hearings. I think it was one down in the southwest part of the county where they recommended it be closed. They didn't feel there was enough traffic on that road at the time. I'm not sure I concur with that agreement. We're looking at some rehab options just because of the size that bridge is to see if we can keep that road and structure open a little while longer. I think it links up pretty well with one of our major paved roads and then an east-west gravel road that provides a parallel route for slower moving equipment alongside of it. It's one we'll be reviewing here over the next few months and see if we can come up with perhaps a rehabilitation option that would allow us to preserve that structure in place. Other than that, I recommend approval of the postings as provided by our bridge consultant.
I'll move it.
Second. Motion by Potabom, second by DeWitt. Hearing no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item B is to receive bids for PCC patching and return them to the county engineer for review and recommendation. This also requires the auditors.
The first bid is from 10 Point Construction of Denison, Iowa. One of the things we included with this is bridge approach paving and a reinforced bridge approach section on Glen Ellen Road. That's just as you come off of Highway 141. We have roughly a 150-foot stretch of gravel between the bridge and the edge of the 141 pavement. A couple years ago, we paved a fillet coming back off of Glen Ellen and Old Lakeport Road to help remove some of the gravel that was being drug out onto the road. We're kind of looking at doing that same thing here, although the bridge approach section will increase the cost of that portion of the project. This year we felt we had adequate revenue to allow us to get that one done. 10 Point doesn't want us to get into their bid. Appropriate bid bond is included. The total price bid by 10 Point Construction is $65,969.34. $65,969.34. Second bid is from Cedar Falls Construction of Waterloo, Iowa. Bid bond is included. Total bid price is $153,226.63. I just spotted an obvious error on the tabulation from
Yes, and they didn't bid the
10
same
Point.
project.
They missed a decimal point or something. I would like to take these, have them received by the Board of Supervisors and returned to the county engineer for examination. I think what they did was they missed carrying the decimal point over. Their bid looks like it should be closer to 104,000 if it were done correct.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Radig, to receive and refer to the engineer for his review, correct?
Correct.
Or his math corrections, really.
I don't know, I think you call them up, say, yeah, 65,000, we're good to go.
Our estimate on the project, just so the board knows, was 139,135. And like I said, there's an obvious error with that. So I think this is easy enough to correct. Again, it looks like he just failed to carry the decimal point in the proper position. So I think 10 Point will still be a little bit, but we'd like to have the opportunity to check. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. There's no action on item 7C. Item 8 is reports on committee meetings. Mr. Radig and I were given a tour and attended the ribbon cutting of the Expo Center, which was great to see. A lot of work done. I believe it can hold 1,400 once the bleachers are put in. Noticeably bigger than a football field. Lots of space to work with, and exciting to see the other space they have for events that is probably going to get booked up as well, secondary spaces. Everything was top of the line. Radig, you got anything to add to that?
They said the bleachers were on back order due to the virus, so sounded familiar to my workplace on a lot of things. But yeah, no, it was really neat, a neat facility. I think it'll be a good amenity for the community.
Yeah, they mentioned they're already going to come up short on parking spaces if it's a full event.
I also had a Western Iowa Workforce Development Board meeting. We're trying to put together our new board. We have the 1st of October to have it done. But it's a very difficult board because you have to be both gender balanced and political party balanced, and you can't put political party on the application. And they also have to come from different various representative entities. So if you know any female Republican business owners that would like to serve on a workforce development board, that's what we're missing.
All right then, is that the only one?
And they have positions for everybody else, and you know, if you had a bunch of other recommendations of like independent business owners of some kind, that might be able to balance them out. But yeah, the way it is, that's what we need.
So if you got the right person, you want to get involved in economic development, you got to change your party. Or go no party.
Or
At least for as long as it takes to get.
the Sioux Lane Community Action Agency, we work, Tammy is the staff person or the person that we have help us through workforce development. So if you had a name, you could get that to her. Or Jean Logan probably would work too. She could get it to her.
Okay.
That's it.
Any other reports on committee meetings? Yep.
Been some changes, possibly heard it on the news about the new LEC stacking the pods instead of having them single level. Has a good potential to save around $750,000 to stack them now and then just save the space for a later date to add bed space should it become necessary. But that's one thing that there's going to be a few things, smaller issues, but that'll have to come before the board to make sure the board's aware of these items before the LEC authority moves forward.
And then also, wasn't there the footings being laid for the second pod still, so it was already ready for construction if you ever needed it? Wasn't that?
Yeah, there was going to be several things that were going to be just set up so that they could be not quite modular, but at least they'd be able to expand it as needed. So it'll need a minimum of refit or refurbish or remodel to make for any potentially additions that are going in. They'll be built in and easier to install and move forward. So yeah, kind of building it right the first time. Let's go with that.
Yep.
It might cost a little bit more now, but it'll save a lot in the future.
I heard city council concerns at the end where Dan Moore was explaining why he abstained so often on authority votes or votes about the jail project with the city.
He might be abstaining. He's not abstaining from anything on the authority side, but he might be on the city angle.
Good, because there's only 3 votes, so can't have a couple of people abstaining. Anything else on the authority? Any meetings coming up?
No. Well, Rolling Hills is tomorrow.
Okay. Anything from you, Mr. Wright?
Yeah, Community Action Agency has their annual crop walk coming up. Because of COVID restrictions, there's not any formal walk this year. People are welcome to participate in this between now and the end of October, although there are some groups that have chosen October 18th as the day that they're going to go out and walk individually. They have pointed out it's the biggest fundraiser for them of the year, and so they are hoping that participation is not impacted too significantly by COVID restrictions.
Okay.
So check out their Facebook page, or I will post some things on my page as well. So link to those.
Any reports, Mr. Potabom? Hearing no other committee meeting reports, item 9, sorry, Mr. Nara.
I went through to check their numbers. Would we be able to do the award since it was on the agenda?
Yeah, come back up, or,
But do you have to like confirm with them
I
that?
was going to say, don't you want to tell them what you did?
What they did was, they had a unit price of $101 on 391.83 square yards. They wrote on the line $492.83. The correct number was $39,574.83. So when you take what we do when we find a math error is we take their unit price times the square yardage to come up with what the correct price for award would be. And in this case, again, I don't know what he did wrong. All of his other numbers are correct. He just failed to carry that multiplication.
So what did the bid end up at then?
The total bid is $103,051.34. And I do recommend award. There is an advantage to getting this awarded today so that we can get the contract turned around quickly. We're already at September. We want to have this done before mid-November,
okay.
if it's acceptable to the board.
And it's not going to be an issue to explain to them what happened?
This is standard operating procedure. We always check all of their numbers by the square yardage. If there is a math error, we put down the correct price based on square yardage, not based on what they wrote in the tabulation. So this would be our standard operating procedure. It's also the DOT bid procedure.
So they'd be surprised if you sent them a contract at $65,000. Huh?
I think they would, yes. Yeah. They would likely turn over the $5,000 bid bond or whatever it was if that was the case.
What's the name of this company?
10 point.
10 Point Construction.
I'll move.
And they have a long history with us. They're a good contractor. For whatever reason, they must have been.
Well, clearly they taped their envelopes well.
What's that?
Clearly they taped their envelopes well.
That's for sure.
I'll move we award the contract to 10 Point Construction.
I'll second the motion by Potabom. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on item 9 now. Any citizen concerns for an item not already addressed on the agenda? City District Health Director Kevin Green.
Yes, good afternoon. Kevin Green, Director at Flint District Health Department. Just a quick COVID-19 update with what's going on. You should be receiving the indicator report on a weekly basis. There's a lot of discussion about the numbers, the data. This is what we pull ourselves and do the basically calculations of. So we're pretty confident what we present within our indicator report. We're not always matching the state report, but we're more comfortable with what we've got right here. One of the things that we've looked at is we've got, consecutive weeks where we've gone from a 5.9 up to 11.5 of positivity rate, which means of all testing reported in Woodbury County, that percentage is what came back positive. One of the things that I'm happy to report is that testing collaboration that we've got going on, they're pumping out about 1,500 to 1,700 tests per week. So they're at a level and threshold that we feel it's monitoring the activity of the virus within the community. That's the good news. The bad news is with the percentage, we're getting more and more cases. We added close to 200 over the weekend, so it's fit into that category of what we call community spread. And so we can't necessarily link it back to one specific location or facility. It's really just out there and people are contracting it that way. Lots of discussion at the federal level related to what's going on. But we are still continuing with our own contact investigation internally. We feel that that gives us the best read as far as what's going on in the community. Certain counties have turned it over to the state, but reports I've gotten from them is they're not aware of what's really happening because of the consistency in the contact tracing. And I've been thankful that I have not had to add any staff related to that. We've kind of reassigned as we've gone into virtual and been able to keep everybody at full-time employment, but also then reassign them and train them how to do this. And then hopefully within 2 weeks, the CDC Foundation, I reached out to them in the midst of some of the turmoil. They have now offered me 3 full-time equivalent contact tracers. So that is paid for by their funding. And those will be located at the health department and they'll be able to assist us in the work because we're also in the process of reopening back up for services for people coming in. So I think that's just kind of a quick down and dirty of what's going on with the COVID. We're still concerned about some of the large community gatherings going on. The spread within that too, we're very cautious related to that. However, trying to bridge it on the side of saying what is it we need to do to assure that people are able to have some level of activity within it also. And so I think that's kind of our challenge, and that's what we've been facing. So a lot of intensive work the last 2 weeks with the schools. They went back into session, lots of consultations, calls, working with them just to kind of get some guidance related to who's isolated, who's quarantined, how to handle the positive cases. That's been a priority. And then our real other area of concern is the long-term care facilities. Really monitoring those closely, because we've shown across the U.S. if it gets into that population with the number of cases, that's what leads to a lot of the fatalities. So the bright side of it at this point in time is hospitalization-wise, the numbers are going up, but also realize within Woodbury County, those hospital numbers come from the region. So they're not all Woodbury County residents. So they're feeling a little bit more of a push right now related to the number of cases, but it has not overwhelmed them like we were concerned about in March. So we are thankful for that for report. And lastly, I want to thank you as a board for going through with the CARES to be able to get us qualified, passing the resolution and all that. Dennis, Melissa, Michelle, anybody else involved to get that funding coming in. Unless there is additional funding appropriated, a portion of that funding, I just want to give you a heads up, is when vaccine becomes available. Right now, that is the only money we have towards carrying out that act of community immunization clinics. We're going to work with a network of providers in that, but we will have to be doing some of those as far as evenings, weekends, to do mass immunization clinics. And we're trying to figure out a way to do it in a drive-through fashion, because we think the safest thing is to keep people in their vehicles. So that's the planning we're doing. We don't have a timeline of when we'll receive it. We get weekly updates from the Iowa Department of Public Health, and we just kind of monitor and adjust our plans as we move forward with that. So I just wanted to say thanks for that and give you a brief update. Any questions I could entertain?
You probably just set up the vaccine clinic with the Chick-fil-A drive-through, the way they pump 30 people through it on there.
Believe me, I've kind of sat and watched that thinking, how do we do this? That's one of the most efficient processes I've seen for people not getting out of their cars.
Yeah.
How's the contact tracing going with increasing cases? Is it just extending the amount of time it takes? Is it as useful since the beginning?
It actually hasn't extended the time. I think what we've gotten right now is that, although it's not the case with all, we are having fewer non-English positive cases. So what that's meaning is we're not having to use interpreters and that type of stuff, language line, which slows down part of the process. The beginning of this week, we were at a threshold of what we were actually doing is, normally the way the course is that the test results go back to the medical provider, and then they inform the individual the results. We had cases this week that we were so quick to respond that we were giving the individuals the results. So we've been trying, our goal is within 24 hours of receiving the test results, we've attempted and initiated a contact with those cases. So we do continue to try to reach that, no more than 48 hours.
Do you do the contact tracing at the colleges, or do they do their own?
What we actually do is the actual contact tracing and the close contact investigations. Contact tracing is actually the conversation we have with each positive case. That's what we're doing exclusively. The contact, as far as the close contact tracing, that comes out of a merged responsibility with us, the colleges, the schools, trying to figure out who were those individuals in contact with for 15 consecutive minutes at less than 6 feet.
Okay,
So it's kind of a merged shared responsibility.
thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? If not, thank you for your time.
Thanks for
Thanks,
the
Kevin.
update. Still on item 9, any other citizen concerns? Andy, how many people do we have on the phone?
0 callers, 6 viewers.
That's like a plateau from last time. 0 callers?
0 callers.
And you call yourself an IT guy. So much for that third quarter boost you promised me. All right, on to item 10, board concerns. In our packets is a letter the board received from Civic Partners Sioux City LLC from September 15th. In it lists the measures they are taking as a landlord to relieve some rent from tenants, including, of course, the Promenade Theater. Civic Partners is requesting a property tax payment be deferred in the amount of $106,000, which would otherwise be due at month's end. This is an organization based out of California. I don't anticipate putting this on the agenda because I do not believe there is support to approve it. I think I speak on behalf of the governmental entities and maybe the business community as well, that Civic Partners hasn't been the best partner locally in a lot of different ways. So I wanted to make sure this was in the record, and that we all had a chance to look at this. And if there's any other objections to that course of action or any comments anyone wants to make, again, I think, setting a precedent for a non-local entity would bite us in the long term. So, any heartburns? No heartburns. All right. Any other board concerns? All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Well, good thing I didn't have concerns. My battery just went dead.